But anyway, but Professor Challenger is one of those great Victorian characters that come out. I mean, for instance, I think the greatest portrayal of an African in Victorian literature is Umslopogaas in Rider Haggard's King Solomon's Mines. You know, this magnificent great Zulu warrior who is just wonderful. I mean, the Victorians create some extraordinarily archetypal characters, and dear old Professor Challenger is one of them. Yes.
I know you've done some work in animation, like Dorgo as the Black King Thief. What are some of your memories of working in animation?
Well, animation is generally very silly. Thank God. You know, you get in there and the script is written, there's a bit of the script written, and you've got the cartoonists watching either on TV screens or in the other room watching. And you do what is written, and then you let rip a bit, you know. And they're busily taking notes, oh yeah, we can do that. And then you come back 6 months later and you do a bit more, and suddenly some of your mannerisms and gestures and stupid phrases are incorporated in the film. It's great fun. They're all mad. I'm not, of course. Now, well, there was somebody who put his hand up somewhere here that I promised to. Okay, you're far away. Yes, you'll go.
The casting directors have come to know you from most recent projects like Shinar Chronicle and Stretching Back. What have they said has been your most appealing attribute that has won you the part?
Oh, longevity, probably. Yeah. Yeah, we go for last man standing in our profession. Yeah. Oh, you know, it's the damnable thing about acting, and I speak to all of you who wish to be actors. You have to be good. It is assumed that you will acquire, ability and skill. But in the end, it's luck. And that's the darn thing. You cannot quantify luck. If I join a major company as a young man at 21 and I really work at it, and I'm smart and I'm good, I can rise through the ranks of that company and then perhaps another one, to chairman of the board. I may be the most gifted actor of my generation. I may have all that it takes, in theory, to be a successful actor. But if I don't get the right part, I'm nothing. There was a great friend of mine. I was at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art. There were 22 of us in my year. Every single one of them got a great break, probably on English television. One or two got major films and things like that, except one. And he is still working. There's he looks magnificent. He has a bright, intelligent mind. He has actor's intelligence as well as real intelligence. I would use him if I was casting in a shop. But he never, ever got the part that makes you stand out. And suddenly, actors get very vain. They suddenly get, people come up to them and say, oh my God, you were wonderful. I saw you in the movie. And they think it's because of them. The truth of the matter is, a well-written part makes the actor. Stars don't make the part. The great part makes the star. And that we actors forget very easily, because it's got to be me, hasn't it? But that's the darn and damnable thing about being an actor. So if you're going to be an actor, expect failure. It'll probably happen. vampire. That's a bit bleak. Yes, young lady.
Do you have any favorite moments from when you were filming Princess Diaries 2?
Gary Marshall was the director and producer of The Princess Diaries. Gary was one of these effortlessly funny, generous, gentle guys. We used to say it wasn't so much a question of going to work for Gary. Gary would phone up his old friends and say, why don't you come along and let's play for a while? And we just put these scenes together, and it was effortless and absolutely packed with laughter and smiles and sunshine. And his loss again, you know, such a shame, because he just had that easy magic. You know, we actors are the most privileged people in the world, and we forget that because we get very involved in ourselves. But there are people who work with you. And those of you who are going to be young people in management and stuff like this, make it your job to make the lives of those around you easy and comfortable. Very few of us work well when people say to us, that wasn't really very good. Can we try it again, please? You know what? I want a performance here. You know, I just read the last thing you've done, and it's wanting. No, don't do it that way. Take my... And we end up not working, not doing the job we're doing. We're working as, what can I do to please you? And that's fatal. And the very best directors, you can use a bit of torment sometimes in some films, but by and large, all of us want to please. And the best thing is to say, wonderful, I love what you're doing there. That's absolutely superb. I remember working with a lady director on a little commercial I did, I think right at the start of my career. And I did the first thing, and she said, I love it, wonderful, wonderful. Now, what I want you to do is keep that. Let's do it again. Very good. Now keep that and just change this a bit. Very good. Let's do it again with that change. And within about half an hour, she completely changed my performance to what she wanted. And I was just so pleased because she likes me. And that's one smart way of dealing with things. Most of us really don't get on, and there are some people in life, I'm afraid, that that you will meet who just simply say, you know what, that doesn't work for me. Do it again. No. You have experience of this, don't you? So let me put it a different way. I mean, if you can't shape up, you're out. You understand? And you can just see everybody going. They can't help it. That's all you can say. But there's only a certain level to which they will rise anyway, unless they're the boss's son. In which case. Anyway, enough. Yes.
Was there a scene in Lord of the Rings that was particularly difficult to film because people couldn't remember the lines and people kept breaking out in laughter?
Well, there was a certain amount of laughter in between shots, I must admit, and during shots. So I make the jump, and I'm very deliberately teetering on the thing, and Orlando reaches forward, and he grabs my beard. If he pulls that beard off, I'm in makeup again for another 4 hours! Not the beard! Yes, sir.
I just wanted to ask you, what was it like to work with Kate Mulgrew in Star Trek?
Well, it was glorious, actually. I mean, actually, the idea for having Da Vinci was Kate's originally. She was talking to the writers, and she said, "What about, in that room having Da Vinci or Picasso. And they settled for Da Vinci, and I'm rather glad. It was a great chance. I mean, so sometimes when that little autograph picture comes out, I actually give them John Rhys-Davies, you know, and Leonardo da Vinci. How often can you get Leonardo's autograph? Great fun, great fun. Yes?
What was it like working on Shogun and with the diverse cast?
Well, Shogun was an I mean, has anybody read the book, Shogun?
I have.
Well done, you. It's a great, great book. I think, arguably, one of the greatest popular novels of the latter half of the 20th century. I did meet an American diplomat on the train going to Hiroshima who said that he'd worked with the Hearts and Minds program in Vietnam. And he said, before I went, they gave me about 10 or 15 books to read. And if I just read Shogun, he said, I could have thrown the rest away. It was so interesting because Japan was, I mean, don't forget, we're doing this in 1980. And Japan was still not wholly a Western country, if you know what I mean. We were foreigners. We were desperate foreigners to them. And you know, and we're all dressed we've all got beards and stuff like that. And we look pretty sinister, as foreigners do sometimes. And it was one of the greatest cultural experiences of my life. Because sometimes you just, inadvertently, you just realize the difference sometimes between East and West. Let me give you an example. We're on the boat, and suddenly a door starts rocking with the boat. The director says, "Stop that door." An American carpenter springs up, grabs a piece of wood, grabs a saw, and starts sawing. And after about 4 or 5 strokes, he gives a yelp that has existential boundaries to it. He's picked up a Japanese saw. Now, we in the West know that the only way of using a saw is to cut on the push stroke. The Japanese know that the only way to use a saw is to cut on the pull stroke. You know, and if you've got the other guy's saw, you're doomed. You can't do anything. So naturally, we had to have the great saw-off competition. 4x2 there, Japanese with his saw, you know, American with his saw, and they get through it in exactly the same time. But you know, it was so much of a culture shock, I think, for both parties. I mean, the Japanese they're so filled with a sense of duty, and you know, this is my job, I will do it better than anyone else can do it. So we're about to move from one boat to another, and there's the Japanese camera assistant timing it very carefully. He's got a Panavision camera on his side, and the boats come together, he makes his move, and they just go apart. He goes straight down. And he is down, and we're all going, and we know what he's doing. He's trying to swim to the surface with a Panavision camera on his shoulder. And finally comes up, and he's weeping with shame because he had to let go of the camera. You know, and he should have died with it. But and of course it was easy. We just put a marker down and sent a diver down and picked it up and stuck it in a fresh water and sent it back to Panavision saying, "You sort it out." But it was, you know, any sensible English cameraman who'd done that would have let it go you know, hit the water, let the damn thing go, and survive. But this was a sense of duty. And he really, we just had to console him and say, you know what, it's okay to choose to live. A film camera is, yes, indeed, it's not that important. But it was a magical experience. I would go back to Japan any day. It's just a fabulous, fabulous place, great culture, great people, and they taught me such a valuable lesson. We sit out in the open. We're having our dinner out in the open. The tables, we clear the tables, everyone, and then the lady with the brush comes out, and she picks up all the garbage that we have just dropped on the floor, and then she takes her brush and she makes a swirl, a pattern in the gravel. And what she has done, she has taken a mundane, ordinary job and transformed it into art. And if only we could do that, we would probably get more out of our lives. I love it, love it. Sorry. Right, another one. Go on then.
Was there a role that you tried out for that you didn't get, like that you really wanted it, and if you didn't get it, what did you think of the person's?
Oh, yeah, are there roles that I've wanted that I didn't get? You know, in films, when I go up for a part and I don't get it, it doesn't happen that often. So I don't mean it like that. What I mean is that normally they're just checking up on you to make sure you've got all the sets of fingers and things like that. You know, if it's going to be as you notice, I'm a little diminished in this finger here. Makes my familiar produces more laughter than. But the one or two that I have gone up for and not got have never worked out well. And I rather like to tell them that. But let me tell you the most shameful story of all. Right. Now you understand that all of us live in a dream life and a real life. But those of us who are mature and wise and experienced in the world, we have our feet planted in reality, right? And me particularly, I know exactly who I am, what I can do, what I can play. I am not going to be seduced by the offer of, playing Lady Gaga or something like that. Because I have the advantage over all of you. I know who I am solid, I am grounded. So, when my then agent, one Russ Lister, called me and said, "Hey, Johnny, they want you to play Hamlet on the West Coast. Do you want to do it?" I said, no, Russ. I am 55 years old. I weigh 280 pounds. They do not want me to play Hamlet. Yeah, they want you to play Hamlet. Now, there's no money in it, Johnny, and it'll waste up 3 months of your life. You could be earning proper. Russ, please. They don't want me to play Hamlet. They may want me to play Claudius, which I've played, the Gravedigger, or somebody like that, but Johnny, they want you to play Hamlet. Shall I just tell them no? Are you serious, Russ? They want me to play Hamlet? Yeah, look, I'll just tell them you pass on it. Wait! Don't do that. Okay, tell them, yes. Are we still on for dinner tomorrow night? No, tonight, rather. And he said, yeah, 7 o'clock down here. I get down there at 7 o'clock in Santa Monica. Russ, old boy, I've reread Hamlet. I've relearned the first act. You know what? I'm going to lose 40 pounds to do this. I mean, I may be old, but then don't forget that Irving was playing Hamlet when he was 53. I mean, I can do this. And he said, I got the wrong play. It was Macbeth. Why would anyone 280 pounds and is 55 think that anyone wants him to play Hamlet. It just goes to show that who we are, who we perceive ourselves to be, and who we actually are, you know, it's such a tenuous thing, and all of us have a capacity. Well, you don't have a capacity for self-deception, but I most certainly have. Anyway, there you are. So that's that one. All right. Yes.
So back to animation. I know you voiced Man Ray and SpongeBob. How was that like, and how does that compare to other roles?
When I played Man Ray, it was very cool. And yes, I like to think I slide through the water. Very large teeth. Great fun. Great fun. Isn't it wonderful to be able to play? I get to, you know, I'm a 74-year-old, nearly 75-year-old man. I get up in the morning and I go to play. What's wrong with that picture? Anyway. Yes.
I just wanted to let you know that the Lord of the Rings movies changed a lot of people's lives, and it was 20 years ago that the casting was first starting to be announced, and the internet was just blowing up with everything, and I was a member on a discussion group, lordoftherings.com, and this year a whole bunch of our friends that we met on that website, we're getting together again for the 20th anniversary.
Hold on. Yeah, it's extraordinary. I mean, I would have thought it was about 8, 9, 10 years ago. But suddenly it's September 1999. I went to New Zealand to start and see and find a reason why I could walk away from the production. Quite amazing. But you're right, that film will abide for a few years yet. Wonderful performances, brilliant direction, great script, and not a bad little show to be part of. Yes, I've been neglecting people over
I think we've
there.
got time for just a couple more questions.
Oh, God, shut up. Okay. All right, so, what is that? About 4 minutes after birth. Well, there was a time when I was definitely going to be a nuclear scientist. That was roughly at the age of 10. And then I got sent to a boarding school in England, which I hated everything. The very first play I saw was Oedipus Rex at the age of 11. It hit me like a hammer. I remember leaving the performance and going into the senior library that first formers were not allowed into. And I found and read, and I can tell you what it was, Aristotle on tragedy. Tragedy, then, is the imitation of an action, complete and of some importance, acted, not narrated, in language enhanced by distinct and varying needs, and through pity and fear, effecting its purgation of these emotions. That was 1955. And I'm still trying to work out really what, through pity and fear, effecting its purgation of these emotions really means. Afterwards, I knew that my destiny was to be the greatest tragic writer in the world. And to that end, I was a delinquent at boarding school, and but they were very accustomed to dealing with feral colonial boys. So they put me in a school play, and I discovered Shakespeare. And then I had the words to articulate my teenage rage. And I was not a bad little actor at school. I played Othello, I played Volpone, Ben Jonson, Volpone. In fact, when I played Othello, my Michael Cassio was a man called Nigel Terry, whom some of you may remember from Excalibur. He played King Arthur in that. It was not a bad little bunch of lads, and only lads actually. But we had a, yeah. So the idea was that I was going to be the greatest tragic writer that you've ever met. We would now be talking about my wonderful literary works at the grand old age. And you see, it was simple. I could probably earn my keep as an actor. But all actors spend at least 6 months of the year out of work. In that time, I would be writing the masterpieces. And I went to RADA, I did a degree, waited for my wife to graduate, taught for a year, went to RADA, left RADA Sunday night, 10 o'clock at night, and started work 10 o'clock the next morning in the Belgrade Theatre, Coventry. And I had 7 weeks out of work in the first 5 years. So I didn't get much writing done, but I'm making up for it now. Anyway. We run out of time. Yes.
I think we'd have one more question.
One more question. Okay. That person over there going.
So, throughout Lord of the Rings, Legolas and Gimli were keeping count of their kills. Would you or Gimli happen to know what the final count was?
I would have thought that the outcome, the master of murder, was quite evident. Unless you're some subversive little pointy ears with your funny hat on. I'm not going to answer a question like that. It should be evident to anyone who knows that the best dwarf always wins.
And with that, I think we need to say thank you, John, for sharing your insights with us today.